Hey guys, this is Miss Cat, and today we're going to be talking about how to create a character sprite sheet for Unity. And so, what a sprite sheet is it allows you to create either like animations or like we did before in our tile video to create tiles. But this one here is for creating a character animation. Now, this works the same way as you would create like anything for an enemy or anything like that, right? This is a basic walk cycle of going left and right. Um, and so we're going to walk through kind of the process of how I did this and how you can do this. So this is a finished walk set or finished sprite sheet right here. This is ready to go, ready to be imported, and we'll do that in another video. But I'm going to break down kind of how I put this together real quick. So open up Photoshop if you haven't already, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit File, New, and I want my width and my height to make a box. Now with this box I found that doing 300 by 300 by 300. So what this is the width is 300 pixels, the height is 300 pixels, which please use pixels, do not accidentally put inches, it's really big, and my resolution is going to be 300. So resolution at 300, that's just something that's always normal. It keeps it looking nice, keeps it looking clean. We don't want anything lower, and anything higher is kind of unnecessary. So right here you can go ahead and click OK. I'm going to click cancel just because I have one already right here that I've made. And in this I have all of the animated sprites that I've already done. And I'm going to walk through how I did those, but I'm just have this already ready to go. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is kind of this walk cycle right here. Oh, this walk cycle right here, because this is the basic walk cycle that we're going to have our character do. So this includes 4 different frames. This includes what is called a contact frame, and that's where our back foot and our front foot are touching. So that's right when our heel hits when we're walking. We have what's called a passing frame, and that's where one of our legs is passing the other, and then back to contact and back to passing. And so you're like, well, why can't I just do the same 2 and get it done with? Well, one thing is one of our legs is always in front and the other one's in the back. So in this right here, our right leg's in front, it's in the middle, all right, and then our right leg's in back and our left leg's in front. So we have to be able to actually see that change. And the other thing is our arm. So our arms don't move the same as our legs, right? So our arm goes forward and then it swings back. So we need to be careful about how we're animating this. And as I show you my gumball one again, you'll kind of see that difference in there. But I just wanted to make sure that we understood the basics of a walk cycle before we got into this. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn that off, and I'm going to walk you through kind of how I did my gumball walk cycle. And so here's my first frame of my little gumball walk cycle. It is him walking this way. Now there are some things that are very good and that you should follow whenever you're creating any character to put in a sprite sheet. And before I show you how to do that, make sure that your ruler is turned on, because we will be using the ruler at this point. If you don't have your ruler on, you go up to View, go down to Rulers, and make sure that's clicked right there, and then that brings up these right here. This is your ruler. And so the first thing I'm going to talk about is that you need to make sure that as you're creating a character that it is, one, in the middle, right? And then one of the reasons we put it in the middle is because when it rotates, if you rotate your character, it will rotate around the middle section, right? So we want it as centered as possible. The second thing I'm going to make sure is that whenever I'm animating, that especially a walk cycle in particular, that my feet are always just about touching the ground. So as I click these on and off, so you can kind of see, oh, move this down right here. As you can kind of see, my feet are basically touching the ground. When he walks, he actually jumps up a little bit. That's okay with me because I think it's kind of cute. It adds to his personality. But pretty much I'm going to keep it on the same ground line, and I'm going to make sure that these are all lined up right here. So you can design your own character in here however you want it. Is it going to be floating and kind of moving along? Is it going to be, walking straight across? whatever it is. You can add more than just 4 frames, especially if you took my animation class, you know how to animate pretty well. But this is just a basic 4-frame little animation for walking. So I have mine done. I'm ready to move on at this point. I know it's going to take you a little bit before you're on to your next step, but that's okay. So let's pretend that you finished your whole character. You have, your 4 images you need of your contact passing, other contact, other pass, right? So we've got that all ready, and we're ready to move this into an actual sprite sheet like this one. So the first thing I need to do is I need to count out how many images I have. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. And so as I create that new sprite sheet, I need to times the number of how many sprites there are by 300. So I know that in the end, I not only want to have 4 sprites for this going left, but I also want to have 4 sprites that I'm eventually going to go right with. So he's going to walk left and he's going to walk right. And I'm going to show you a simple, easy, fast way to do it instead of just completely reanimating. So the first thing I'm going to do with this, I'm going to go File, New. Remember to keep your resolution at 300. I don't know why mine keeps going back down to 75, but my width, I want to make sure, so I know that my original width is 300, so I'm going to times that by 4, which is 1200. And then I'm going to set my height, and so I wanted to have a left and a right, so I'm going to set this to 600, right? So it's 1200 by 600 at 300 resolution. I'm going to click OK. And now I've got this blank kind of canvas right here. So I'm going to go ahead, I want to turn that eye off. Oh, let me double click it, turn it into a layer. Go ahead, turn that eye off so I can see the transparency behind here. Now I'm going to go back to my gumball and I'm going to start moving it over. So when I go to move this over, one thing that you need to be careful of is I cannot just click on this little gumball layer right here, grab it and move it. And the reason I can't do this is because I have no idea where it goes, right? So I can't really center this to the best of my ability just doing that. So I'm going to delete that. I'm going to come back over here. And instead, I found this is a really easy way to do it is I select this one. Then I hold Command. I don't want to hold Shift because if I hold Shift, it selects everything. But instead, I'm going to click and I'm going to hold either, if you're on a Mac, it's Command. If you're on a PC, it's Control. I'm going to grab this whole thing. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to click. I'm going to move it over. And to do that, all I did was I simply grabbed it, held down the mouse as I went on top of my untitled one, and then didn't let up on that mouse until I could drop it on the canvas. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to line this one up with the sides. So as you can see, these little pink or purpley marks show up whenever I have it lined up pretty well. Just going to set that down. Then I'm going to go back over here and I'm just going to grab the next one. I'm going to press Command again to select everything and move it over. Once again, I'm just holding it, dragging it down and not letting up on the mouse until I have it on the canvas. So this one, I've got everything lined up again. Go back for the next one. And going to move this again. All right, and one last one. All right, so I'm going to grab this and move it in here. So this is looking pretty good. It looks about right. I'm just going to double check that these are all lined up. There we go. All right, so those are all lined up. We're good here. But I only have these facing one way, and I've got all of these white sections behind it, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to make a folder. I'm going to call this left walk. I'm going to bring this all the way to the top. And I'm going to shift select from up at the top of my layer to right above my background layer. I'm going to click and drag those all into my group. So my walk left, this is the whole thing. If I toggle my eye on and off to see it, you can see it's the whole thing. Oh, let me double check something real quick. Make sure that's all lined up. Okay, that's good. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to duplicate this by right-clicking and hit duplicate. So duplicate group, I'm going to double click and I'm going to name this right walk. So now I have a second group made right here. So I've got left walk and right walk. So on my right walk, what I want to do is I want to flip it because I want them to be facing that way. So to do that really quick, and this is why I'm saying this is the easy, fast way of doing it, is I'm going to go up to edit, transform, then flip horizontal. So now I've got my character going left and I've got my character going right. When I get done with this, remember that for sprites we need to have transparency, so we're going to be using PNGs, and on a PNG we have to turn off all of these backgrounds, right? So I need to go through, find my little white images in my layers and turn those off. So now I've got a complete walk cycle right here of left and right. The sprite sheet is ready to go. The last thing I'm going to do is first I would want to save this, right? I want to save this individually, and then I want to go and I'm going to hit file, and there's two ways of doing it. There's file, save as, and if I look here, I should be able to go ahead and scroll down to PNG, which I can. And this is going to be the way that we're going to be talking about, but you should be able to do file, save as PNG, and then I can just name this gum walk. So as I save this as gum walk, click save. This is fine. We go ahead and hit OK. I can minimize that and I can double click on my gum walk, and as you can see I have my finished sprite sheet right here. So you're kind of going to go through these steps for your sprite, walk cycles, any attacks that your character might have you need to make another sprite sheet for, and like an idle animation. So the two that we're kind of focusing on right now are a walk and our idle. An idle works the same way, it's just instead of having a walk cycle, you come up with some type of thing that your character does when it's sitting there on the screen with nothing else to do. So that is it for this video. Next video we're going to talk about how to import our sprite sheets into Unity and start working with those. But like I said, that's it for this one. I will talk to you guys later. Have a great rest of your day.